Comfort zone. This leadership principle, similar to the person job match we've discussed earlier, is that unless stretched, human beings, all of us, will operate mostly in their zone of comfort. Now, comfort can mean many different things to many different people. But as you think about what it is that you do regularly or routinely, given your own head, if you will, as we talk about a horse having the reins relaxed, given your own devices, you will operate in a zone of comfort. What that generally means is you're going to do things just the way you've been doing them for the past, who knows, number of days, weeks, months, years. Now, to some degree, this is a good thing because this is how you generate efficiency. This is how you generate speed at tasks that you have to do repeatedly or regularly. So this is not a bad thing in and of itself. It's a very good thing. You need to operate primarily in your zone of comfort because that's how you can manage the risks of life and get a good return on investment. However, you need to be aware of this so that you can offset the limiting aspects, the negative aspects of our tendency to operate out of our zones of comfort. And so, what do I mean by that? Well, number one, if you're acting within a zone of comfort, the opportunity to grow is limited. I would say, in fact, in many ways, that what you need to do in your intentionality of stretching yourself beyond where you're comfortable at is you need to be intentional in 1 to 3 different aspects of life to be growing out of your comfort zone on a regular basis. This is not because you're supposed to be uncomfortable, but rather because you want to increase that zone of comfort so your area of efficiency can grow. If you think about this in some ways like the change valley concept we talked about earlier, here's where you're efficient, here's where you're comfortable, here's where you're excited about things to some degree because you know what you're doing. And so you can proceed with high enthusiasm, you can proceed with high efficiency and excellence, all those things are capable. But there's a limiting factor. You can't get better without change. And so change valley is necessary. And so going out of your comfort zone will generally be a change valley experience. But the reason for that is because you want to grow to where your new comfort zone is a greater, broader, deeper, more wide-ranging and world-touching sort of a comfort zone. So if your comfort zone is, let's say, having a conversation with 1 to 3 individuals for about 5 minutes, that's your comfort zone. Try stretching that out to 5 to 7 people for 10 minutes. There's a sense in which public speaking, that one of the greatest fears that people have over and over again, is because they never stretch out of their comfort zone. They never advance beyond where they've been, and so it's this thing still out there. It's the unknown. And in so many ways, what human beings fear the most is the unknown, but the unknown is where adventures happen. The unknown is where excitement, genuine excitement can occur, where innovation can occur, where new discoveries are made. And that needs to be kept in balance so that your overall life can be a life of excellence. If you try to do this in every area of your life all the time, you're not going to have the capacity to metabolize the amount of change, and you're not going to be able to be excellent at life. You're going to fail repeatedly because it takes time to learn new skills, it takes time to metabolize those and synthesize them into the way of being. And so on a general day, you should primarily be working in your comfort zone. But you need to also, on an average day, be intentional about pushing that zone a little bit further out each and every time. If you think about this in some ways, this is, what do they call it? Cognitive response therapy, I think it is, a form of counseling that's highly effective, about 60% effective, which compared to like the 10-15% of psychoanalytics is amazing. But there's the sense in which what you're doing is you're helping them to walk one step at a time towards their fear. So that instead of saying, well, you're afraid of wide open spaces, so we're going to fly you all the way out to South Dakota and drop you off in the middle where you're just surrounded by open spaces. No, instead, you encourage them to spend 5 minutes inside their living room looking outside their window without interruption. It's a small step, but it's stretching that comfort zone. And so the next week, maybe instead of looking out through the window, they look out through an open door. So they're looking out through an open door outside into a wide open space of small size. And so you just kind of walk them forward through that process, and all you're doing is shoving the comfort zone out so that they're able to perform with excellence and capacity in life in a broader range of activities and in a broader world. You're increasing your world. And so be aware of the comfort zone. That's where you are highly efficient and highly comfortable, obviously. But it's also a limiting factor. Grow in the scope of your comfort zone so that as you metabolize new skill sets, you can become equally efficient in a greater number of things. The comfort zone. Human beings left to their own devices will not grow.